Now, I don't normally talk about things like this. I'm normally not one for celebrity gossip and what have you. But we really need to have an honest discussion about this whole Keke situation and how if women, and especially Black women, aren't careful, more and more of us are going to end up in the same boat. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's good? And what's poppin'? It is your girl, True Mystique, aka the Golden Enigma, aka the Real, and welcome back to my channel. Keke Palmer and her bitter baby daddy, Darius, who the hell is he, Jackson. I just want to first start off by saying this. Is anybody surprised? When we saw this man's behavior on the internet in July, we knew something was up with this man. We knew it. We knew something was up with this man. We said that this man was a walking red flag because of the way he exploded on Keke during the summer. And guess what? We were right. It's crazy. And at this point, number one, praying for Keke and her baby Leo's safety. That's the most paramount thing. Before we get into anything else, I just want to send a hedge of prayer to Keke and baby Leo and ask and pray that they are covered and they are protected during this time. She really needs to invest in security measures, whether it is get a security guard, get a bodyguard, double up on the security in the house. Because as we saw on the video, he busted in the house and then he physically assaulted her on camera. But the haters and the detractors and the abusers, them damn selves, and abuse apologists gonna sit here and say that, oh, well, she's not innocent either. She's not innocent. Y'all disgust me. The comments, of course, didn't disappoint. You got people, once again, that are sitting here and blaming Keke and usually blaming women for being abused. Like, oh, well, y'all women ain't innocent and you need to tell the part that she did in order to make him react like that. I'm sorry. It don't matter what a person did. Doesn't matter what a person said. It don't matter. Nothing gives you the right, male or female. Nothing gives you the right to physically assault and verbally assault and abuse somebody like that in any manner, in any way, shape, or form. But as per usual, when it comes to women, and especially when it comes to Black women being abused, y'all show y'all true colors, y'all show y'all royal asses, y'all really sit up in here and show how much you despise victims, particularly female victims, particularly Black women victims in cases of assault. Even though the statistics show the incidences of violence, and particularly within the Black community, that Black women suffer the highest rates of domestic violence and being offed due to domestic violence. And as a matter of fact, they're largely being underreported. Even though the statistics show that over half of the Black women that are no longer here because they were taken off of this planet, over half, between 51 and 54% of those women were taken out of here because of an intimate partner. But we just gonna overlook and we're gonna ignore statistics. We're going to overlook and ignore personal experiences that a lot of women are suffering from. We just gonna overlook that because certain people in certain demographics, y'all gonna get mad at me, but because certain people in certain demographics, Black men, y'all wanna be victims so bad. Y'all wanna make it seem like everybody is against you as a Black man so damn bad that everybody is going out of their way to paint certain pictures and certain images, to make you in a bad light, while y'all selves don't do a daggone thing to correct your image or get your other fellow brothers in line and telling them to stop doing that dumb foolishness that make y'all look bad. But no, y'all are sitting here and doing what y'all are doing with this. I don't even know who the hell this dude is, Barry. Who the hell is he? A nobody. Sitting here and defending abusive men, which a lot of y'all do best. You sit here, even if you don't engage in the particular behavior yourself. A lot of y'all men, and even more disgusting, a lot of you women, male identified females, sit here and justify these men's abusive, manipulative, narcissistic, toxic, criminal behavior at the expense primarily of women and children. I don't give a crap who gets mad, who gets angry. Facts don't give a damn about your feelings, boo. Lying to save face and save image ain't gonna do nothing to help us, okay? Everybody can already see. People got eyes. People ain't stupid, okay? People can see what time it is. We ain't Stevie Wonder to the BS. We ain't Stevie Wonder to the foolery. We see. And even other groups of people and other demographics of people can see what time it is. So no, you ain't fooling anybody. And it does nobody, and I mean nobody, any favors, especially as women, for us to be sitting up in here lying and caping for abusive, trifling, criminal, deplorable men. Keke Palmer has been in the industry for roughly about 20 years. And relatively through her entire career, as much as you know these child stars are messed up, you have not really heard anything negative about Keke Palmer in the 20 years that she has been in this industry. You've never heard anything negative about Keke. Not a blemish. Not she out here wilding out here acting crazy. No. She's always been respected in this industry. You've never really heard anything negative about her until she aligned herself with this loser, trash, nobody. And this is the message that I really want to send to younger, particularly younger girls and particularly younger Black girls out there. You need to be careful with the type of men that you are aligning yourself with. You need to be very careful with the man that you choose to be with, because a lot of these men, they will ruin your life. And with the way that the world is set up right now, a lot of these men of all races, I just want to get this straight. It's not just Black men, and it's not just men who have less than you. The disappointed and disgruntled men span across all groups. All groups. And now you have a generation of underperforming, disgruntled men that are mad with the world because they bought into the demonic patriarchal lie. And in another video, I believe, I've explained the demonic patriarchal lie and why the system of patriarchy in the way that we practice it is actually a demonic system. But they believed in the demonic patriarchal lie that says that because he is a man, he is better than you as a woman. He is to be more than you. You are to be submissive to him. You are beneath him. You are less than him. You are not as intelligent as him. You shouldn't have as much as him. He should be all of these things over you, and he should rule over you with an iron fist. And if he is beneath you, that shouldn't be. You see all these men that want to go back to the 1950s. You see all these men that want to go back to the time where it was legal to abuse their wives and children. You see these dumbass Black men that want to go back to the 1950s because they believe that they could have a better control over their women, even though it also means that their asses were subjugated under Jim Crow. You know these confused ass men that don't know what time it is. Sorry for my cussing, but I just feel very strongly about this. You know these damn confused ass men that don't even understand what year they're in. They don't know that they are in the year 2023, about to be 2024. They think that they're in 1923, 1823. So you got these confused, dumb behind men that want to go back to the time period where they were subjugated under Jim Crow. They even would want to go back to the time where they were enslaved. and had no rights as a human being because they believe that they can have better control of women and their wives. You can't reason with a dumbass like that. I'm sorry. Sorry, Lord. Still working on me. But you can't reason with a fool. Only an idiotic, dumb behind person would say stuff like that and think like that. A person with no critical thinking skills, none, zero critical thinking skills would think like this. You can't reason with delusional people like that because that is nothing more than delusion. You can't deal and functionally reason with somebody like that. So these men are very disgruntled and they want to take it out on the easiest people that they can take it out on. They will not punch up to men who are actually oppressing them. They don't want to acknowledge that the system was never for their benefit, particularly if they were men of color, and particularly if they are poor, even poor white men. They are now realizing and don't want to fully acknowledge that the system that they've said was for their benefit actually never included them. That system that they were saying gung-ho and actually works, that same system seeks to discard them because they are not useful, which is really funny that they crap on feminists all the time. But this is one of the main points that feminism has mentioned, that the way in which we engage in patriarchy, it doesn't truly benefit men. It harms men. But okay. But now y'all are realizing that the feminists actually were right. And now they're realizing that their whole lives are a lie, and that lie is unfolding before their very eyes. Instead of actually having the internal locus of control and saying, listen, let me not adhere to this system. Let me not adhere to this. Let me figure out my own self. Let me go within and fix my own self so that I can be, the best version of myself. No, they don't want to challenge that system, and they don't want to go within to fix it. No, they don't want to punch up to the elites that pretty much lied to them. They would rather punch down to women. And this is what a lot of these men are doing. They are punching down to women because women seem to be the easier target, and they're taking out their frustration on women. And a lot of that frustration, especially within the Black community, which it ain't a really community, but for all intents and purposes, let's call it that, the so-called community, especially within the so-called community. These men are they have been, but these men are getting more and more and more aggressive in taking women out. And the message that I want to share to young women, especially young Black women, is you need to be careful with the man that you choose to align yourself with, because a man who is incredibly insecure and egotistical on top of being insecure has no problems destroying your life, trapping you with the baby, and can even go as far as making your life a living hell and even ending your life. And every day I come on YouTube and I see a story of a successful Black woman being offed by a jealous ex, by an unproductive ex. I see that happen all too often. And what, ladies, you have to understand about men in general, of all races, okay? Because I always say that a man is a man is a man is a man. They're pretty much the same across all races, and you do have to vet accordingly. But what I typically say about men is that if a man does not know how to build, he will seek to destroy. A lot of these modern men, they don't know how to build. They don't know how to craft a life for themselves, a productive life for themselves. So if they don't know how to build, I'm not just talking about physically building infrastructure and things like that, but if they don't know how to build, if they don't know how to build their own life and they don't know how to build their way to success, they will seek to destroy. And they will seek to destroy everything that's around them, including you. So this is why you need to be very, 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 very careful with the man that you choose. And a lot of these men want you to say that, oh, well, you got to come back down and you got to date on my level because blah, 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 blah. And a lot of us as Black women, we do that. We go and we severely date down. And it has been to our detriment. Look at Tia Mowry. Look at Mary J. Blige and Wendy Williams and Mariah Carey, Halle Berry, and a lot of successful women who severely dated down, and it backfired tremendously. I'm not saying that this is true for every single woman. I mean, you do have some success stories, like Judge Lynn Toler, but that story is really a minority. That's a minority. Her husband is very rare, okay? Most of these men are not like her husband. A man who makes less than a woman, the only way that he could really deal with that is if his ego is in check. He has to be very self-confident within himself and really has to be so disciplined to have his ego in check. And the problem is a lot of these men, their egos run them. And a lot of these men, their egos are not in check. And when you have deep insecurity plus an unchecked ego, and the one that can actually help you fix it, Jesus, the one that can actually help you fix it, you as a man don't even want to humble yourself enough to go to the one that can actually help you fix your life and get your life in check, you are a lost cause. You're a lost cause. And a lot of these men who are grossly broken, grossly insecure, they don't want to fix themselves and they don't want to be humble enough to go to the one, the creator, to help them get their lives on track. And if you don't want to be humble enough to do that, then there is no hope for you. And this is why there is, honestly, I can say, and it's going to sound bad, but there's not I don't see a lot of hope for a lot of these men. I don't. They don't want to put in the work to fix themselves. They don't want to put in the work to heal. They feel like they are entitled to be above you. And they don't even want to humble themselves to get the guidance from the one that can help them turn their lives around. They don't want to do none of that, but they feel like they want to be God over you. That's not going to work. And ladies, you have to be very, very careful about these type of men. And they are prevalent, especially in these modern times. They are prevalent. And these men will seek to destroy you at all costs. Reproductive coercion is a thing. Ladies, you have to be very careful. And a lot of these men, they want to trap you and put babies in you. Number one, to slow you down. And number two, to get permanent access to you. That's what a lot of them do. It's crazy. Which is why I encourage you as ladies that before you get up in anybody's face, in anybody's relationship, you need to heal yourself. Because a lot of what's going on that I can even say that I think is going on with Keke and a lot of black women, because a lot of black women are going through this. There are a lot of broken women, broken and insecure women who thus in turn attract broken, insecure men. And then you have a lot of women who are broken and insecure that feel like they can heal a man. It's her job to help build a man up. It's her job to help fix a man. And my baby, it is not your job to help heal that man. If that man is broken, he has to heal himself. He has to do the work. He has to put in the work to heal himself from his brokenness. That is not your job. Nor is it his job to fix you. Healing is an individual's job. But because men have been socialized to not deal with that emotional stuff, they think that it is your responsibility to take on the emotional burden and the emotional labor for both people, and it is not. Healing is an individual journey. Healing is an individual process. And if he does not want to do the work to heal himself and humble himself to say that, listen, I need help. I'm not right. I need help. If he doesn't want to humble himself to do that, it's not your responsibility to do it for him. And you need to let him go. Because he will, without fail, destroy you in the process. And way too many black women are succumb to this abusive behavior. And way too many black women are losing their lives because they feel like they can help these men and they can't. But all we do know is that he was an abusive piece of crap. We knew that from Twitter. We knew that from the outrage and from the meltdown that he had on Twitter that, yeah, He abusive. Something wrong with him. He's abusive. He's reactive. He's controlling. And then you got the comments there. And I've heard men and women even say this. Oh, y'all act like if a man says, you know, he don't want you wearing that, and if a man says this and a man does that, y'all act like this is controlling and abusive behavior. Because 9 times out of 10 it is. 9 times out of 10, he's not saying this because he wants to protect you. 9 times out of 10, men will say this and do this because they want to control you and they want to manipulate you. And this is called grooming. They slowly chip away at you, chip away at who you are, chip away at this, chip away at that, to make them easily manipulate you, get in your head, and control you, to abuse you. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. Because I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I've experienced it. They want to control the way you look, control the way you dress, control who you hang out with. Now, I'm not saying that your partner or your spouse can't be cautious, but for them to completely dictate what it is that you should be doing in life, that's completely unacceptable. Especially because of this. If you really had morals and if you really had standards for your partner, that should have been the first thing that was mentioned in the relationship. If you knew that this person was dressing like this, behaving like this, hanging around unsavory people, you would have either corrected it in the beginning of the relationship, or you would have just walked away and said, you know what, this person, we're not compatible. It's not for me. You would have walked away and you would have said it wasn't for me, and you would have found somebody that was more suitable and more compatible for you. But see, the problem, especially with men, and I'm not saying that women don't do this, because I know women who try to do this as well, but I'm talking about men right now, okay? There are a lot of men that y'all want to get these women as a particular way, and then you find joy in breaking them and breaking them down and molding them and manipulating them to be the person that you want them to be. Because you find joy and you find pleasure in breaking down a particular type of woman. Let's say this. A lot of y'all say that y'all want housewives and y'all want homely women, but deep down y'all want city girls. You want city girls, but you want to be able to say that you transformed a city girl into a housewife. A city girl, 9 times out of 10, do not want to be a housewife, but y'all feel like it's your responsibility and you take pride in trying to break down a city girl into a housewife when she knows she don't want to be no daggone housewife. She don't. She a city girl. She want to be a city girl, but y'all think that y'all want to be able to manipulate a city girl into becoming something other than a city girl. And a lot of y'all men do that. Like I always say, too many of y'all get into relationships with people and you want to manipulate them and you want to mold them into something that they are not. And that is not a good business model. You are a slave master who does that. And too many of y'all are operating from that slavery mentality, because it is a slavery mentality. In the words of Stephanie Perry and Alicia Bernice, the artist, y'all are biting off the fruit of the slavery tree. Because that is the fruit of a slavery tree. And too many of us, our minds are still colonized and our minds are still deeply, deeply rooted and entrenched in slavery. It is. I would recommend for you young ladies to not be with a dude who does this. I would caution even more young ladies, be very careful getting with a dude who has less than you, who has less to lose than you, who even worse, has nothing to lose. Because the worst person that you can be around is around a person that has nothing to lose. And a lot of times, because of our own embarrassment or because of whatever issues we have, a lot of times when we are entering these types of relationships, we don't want to get help. We don't want to get help. And it's just a sad thing. So it really irritates me when I see comments that say that, oh, these women are lying. Oh, she's just lying because she wants custody. Or she's lying and she just wants to ruin a man's life. When a lot of times, especially Black women, oftentimes don't report their abusers to the police because they don't want to send a Black man to jail. When a lot of times, a lot of women in general want to keep their abuse hidden because they believe that either A, no one will believe them, or they're just too embarrassed to go seek help because they would have never thought that they would have been in the situation to begin with. There are a lot of moving pieces and a lot of moving parts to this puzzle. So to say things like that, when statistically speaking, most people who report abuse, SA, DV, most people are actually telling the truth. And only a small, minute part of the population are lying. Just like we saw with Jonathan Majors. At least Jonathan Majors, he was vindicated. He was lucky that he had the video evidence, right, that stated that, you know, he really didn't do it. But to be quite honest, most of y'all are not Jonathan Majors. Most of y'all are not Emmett Till. Most of y'all are not Nelson Mandela. The majority of y'all who are being accused of some vile, criminal, violent stuff, y'all did exactly what it is that they said that you did. And let's stop lying. And it's crazy the way that we love to downplay abuse victims, especially if that abuse victim was a woman, and especially if they were Black. Look at what y'all did to Rhoda Osmond. Y'all sitting up here still to this day saying that, oh, she lying, oh, she lying, oh, she lying. Even though the medical records state that she really did have damage to her face and to her eardrum that she did not do herself unless she was really sadistic. Because if you had any type of ear infection or any type of ear issue, that is painful as hell. So you wouldn't willingly damage your own eardrum. That was done by an outside force. And the police records that actually said that, yeah, somebody did hit her with a brick. She didn't lie about that. Just like Megan Thee Stallion, who Tory Lanez was actually convicted. So not even alleged, he was actually convicted. He was tried and convicted for shooting Megan Thee Stallion. But even though the professionals who were actually paid to do their jobs and investigate say, yeah, these women were abused. And yeah, these women were abused by this person. The evidence points to that. Y'all will sit here and find a way to say, no, they lying. Oh, no, they lying. And blah, 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 blah. So it's like 1 minute, y'all are anti-police, anti-courts, anti the law when it comes to, you know, men and especially Black men who are on the wrong side of it. But when it comes to needing a Black man to be vilified, oh, you got to wait to the courts and you got to listen to the courts and listen to blah, 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 blah. Which is it? Either you're for the courts or you're not. Because y'all love to pick and choose, especially when a Black woman is the victim in a lot of cases. And in a lot of those cases, the perpetrator was a Black man. So how am I, or how is anybody with sense supposed to take y'all seriously? Seriously? And like I said, I don't care about what anybody got to say because I'm not covering up and I'm not caping for violent, criminal, abusive behavior because that is what's consistently gotten us in this situation and why the so-called Black community hasn't gotten any farther. I'm not caping for any abusive type of behavior. I'm not. Y'all care too much about how things look and y'all don't want to put any effort into how it functions. Y'all don't want to put any effort into healing the dysfunction residing in the so-called Black community. Y'all don't. And I'm sick and tired of it. So I don't care who feels a certain type of way. I don't care who feels offended. Y'all need to hear the truth because I'm sorry, but way too many Black people, y'all don't like to be told about yourselves. Y'all don't like constructive criticism. Look at what y'all did to Keith Lee. The man was respectful with his responses. The man was very respectful with his reviews. And a lot of these Black-owned establishments, the way that they dragged this man through the mud, and he wasn't even disrespectful with the things that he said. That goes to show you the mentality of a lot of Black people when you try to tell Black people something and try to tell Black people something that can help them, they take it as a personal attack. Which is why, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, a lot of people don't want to deal with Black people for this reason. Even other Black people do not want to deal with Black people for this reason. And this is a problem. I know this kind of went a little bit left, but as I wrap it up, I'm going to bring it back to Keke and I'm going to bring it back to abuse. Ladies, we really need to be more cognizant of the signs of abuse because way too many of us as women, as Black women in general, and women in general, particularly as Black women, with the amount of abuse that we've endured collectively and on an individual level, and particularly of the amount of abuse that a lot of us deal with as it pertains to men, family members, romantic partners. We need to be more cognizant, and we need to actually pay attention to the signs of abuse. We need to be very careful about the men that we choose to bring into our lives, because a lot of these men, the truth of the fact of the matter is that a lot of these men will love to seek to bring us down, especially if you are a successful woman. A lot of them who are not as successful in their own right, they are jealous and intimidated of that fact. And they will lie to you and say, oh, no, that's not true, and blah, blah, blah. No, it is. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them will act in the way that Darius Jackson is acting, and even worse. And they have, and more of them are. So we need to be very, very, very careful. And if we see an instance of a man engaging in this type of behavior, we need to exit stage left and exit as soon as possible. I know it takes on average a person 7 times before they successfully leave an abusive relationship. And leaving an abusive relationship is hard. It's actually the most hard and the most dangerous part of the process. And usually it's when a person leaves when they are in the most, that is when they are in the most danger. What else? I'm not saying that this only happens when you are with a man that has less than you, because this can even happen with men who make more money than you. So it's not just a income thing. It's just a man who's insecure and a man who's emotionally unstable, a man who's narcissistic and seeks to control you and seeks to treat you as chattel. That's the issue. A man that doesn't have a hold on his emotion and doesn't have any discipline and who's very egotistical and has a fragile ego on top of that. That's the issue. And we need to be more alert. We need to see a lot of the issues and a lot of the relationships around us and use that as a model of what it is that you don't want. I know that was my case. I know that I've seen my father and how he acted and how he behaved towards my mother and towards my family. And I use that as a model of the type of relationship and the type of man I don't want. So if I see any similar characteristics to that man, to my father, I'm like, nah, hell no, I'm out, okay? I'm out. And the crazy part about the situation with Keke Palmer is that although Steve Harvey is not my favorite person, and y'all call him all kinds of panderers and all he always tell women what they like to hear and blah, 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 Steve Harvey did personally warn Keke Palmer about dating the kind of man that Darius is. He did. Y'all can say what y'all want about Steve Harvey, but Steve Harvey personally warned Keke Palmer about the same situation that she's in. Now, this is not to victim shame. It's not at all. But this is to say that we do need to start taking heed to warnings and things that other people can see, because other people can see things that we can't see. But then again, it all comes down to having to do the work to heal and heal from whatever traumas that you have that will allow you to be in these kind of situations and make you feel like you are deserving of these kind of situations to begin with. And that it's okay to be alone. Don't let anybody force you or manipulate you into staying into an abusive and staying in a relationship that doesn't serve you. That if you feel like you are in danger or you think that that person might be dangerous, leave. Find shelter, tell somebody, report it to the police as soon as possible. Just cover your bases and protect yourself, because your life is valuable. And if you have children in the situation, your life and your children's lives are valuable. And go seek help. All right. All right. Well, If you have made it to the very end of the video, I just want to say thank y'all so much for listening. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Like I said, I normally don't do content like this, but this type of content is very personal for me because I don't know if y'all know, but I grew up in a household that was very volatile, that my dad was controlling and abusive. So when I hear people say dumb things like, oh, y'all be thinking that anytime a man wants to do this, y'all think it's controlling, because it is. Because I've been in situations where my dad isolated my mom from her family and her friends, and it was just a mess. And then that controlling behavior expanded to stalking when she got rid of him, and he threatened to off her, and she didn't know that there was a gun in the house. And so I know these things because I've been through it. And I was a kid when I was through this, right? So I know. I'm witnessed. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've experienced it. I know how I felt when I was going through that. I definitely sympathize with Keke. I definitely sympathize with her and her baby. And I pray for their safety and their protection, you know, because a lot of these dudes, as you see nowadays, they unhinge. And especially because a lot of these men are disgruntled about their financial situations, and they want to take it out on women. And it's sad. And I think something needs to be done about it. And this type of behavior needs to be taken more seriously. And I'm just like, at what point are we going to take this stuff seriously? Because it doesn't even seem like domestic violence is taken seriously unless somebody is offed. The police, in my opinion, are very reactive when it comes to these situations. And I think that police officers need to be proactive. But I already know why they're not really proactive, considering the fact that their domestic violence rates are even higher than the national average. But anywho, let me know y'all comments and how y'all feeling in the comment section below. Let's chop it up, you know what I'm saying? And please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and press the bell button so that you can be notified whenever I drop a new video. And with that being said, I'm going to see y'all later, beautiful people. I'm out. Peace.